the next question that comes up inevitably after someone decides or understands that they need to file tax returns is how many years back should they file? If you haven't filed in 10, 20, 30 years, that's a very important question for you to understand. And I'm going to go into the details, but it all surrounds the same topic, and it's the statute of limitations, again, in my personal opinion. Up until a couple of months ago, there was no clear guidance. There still isn't clear guidance. There's some guidance, we're going to get into that, but up until a couple of months ago, there wasn't any clear guidance as to what to do. From my point of view, the law is black and white. You have to go back and file a tax return for each year in which you had a filing requirement. For each year it changes, but for the most part, if your gross income exceeds $4,000 or $5,000, you're going to have a filing requirement. Even if you're entitled to the foreign earned income exclusion, that does not matter. What determines the filing requirement is gross income, not taxable income or adjusted gross income or anything like that. It all falls back to gross income. So my answer to you is you need to file a tax return for every year in which you had a filing requirement. Clients come back to me and say, well, that's 20 or 30 years. How am I possibly going to do that? If that's definitely an avenue they do not want to consider, then let's look at what the IRS had been doing in practice. And in short, their employee manual states that in the event of a non-filer, they're going to go back and look 6 years at information to determine if he's got taxable income, any taxes due, etc. Initially speaking, the IRS would look for 6 years. That doesn't mean they would look for more years. If in those 6 years you had taxable income in every year, then it's very possible they're going to continue to look back until they find a year where your income did not translate into being taxed due to the U.S. But what we do is we would call the IRS up until 2 months ago. We're going to get into the update, but we would call the IRS on behalf of our clients, explain the situation to the agent, and let the agent tell us what to do. And 99.9% of the time, it ends up in the agent saying, file 6 years back, and we'll go from there. The remaining percentage, they ask for 3 years, and I'm not quite sure what the reasoning is behind that, but I have seen the IRS give guidance that they would only look back for 3 years. Now, a couple of months ago, June 26, the Internal Revenue Service released Bulletin IR-2012-65, and I love their introductory paragraph. The Internal Revenue Service today announced they plan to help U.S. citizens residing overseas, including dual citizens, catch up with tax filing obligations and provide assistance for people with foreign retirement plan issues. That sounds beautiful. When I got that email, I was very excited. But then in reading the email, and we'll place the link to this article on the description for this video. In reading the article, it does not address the key elements that we've been discussing. In the past question, what should you do if you haven't filed tax returns in several years? Or in this case, how many years back should you file? The key part is the statute of limitations. When you read this bulletin, there's nothing that talks about what's going to happen to the unfiled years. The bulletin is saying that you're going to have to file back 3 years. FBARs need to be filed back 6 years. And the two reasons why I don't like this proposed procedure, or this alternate procedure, is because it doesn't address two very important things, in my opinion. The first important thing it does not address is the statute of limitations. What's going to happen to the unfiled years? And how is this any different than simply sending in your tax returns to the processing center? Well, I'll tell you how it's different. If you follow the new procedure, all of your tax returns are going to go in for review automatically, as opposed to just sending them to the regular processing center and letting them follow the same process that any other tax returns do. So the new procedure does not provide an advantage, in my opinion, over the process that we were following before. Not only does it not provide any advantages, it's also not mandated. You don't have to follow this new procedure. At least that's the way we interpret it right now. And we're obviously getting clear guidance from the IRS on that for the benefit of our clients. But the bottom line is, I don't see the advantage in this new procedure.